Page 150, Chiapanecas. However you pronounce it, I'm not sure. On pages 148 and 149, we're covering a little more about the F major scale. Hopefully you've been doing the F major scale using my scale video on F major. Just one octave up and down, the accents and the wrist and the trill exercise, the whole bit that I explained. If you have any questions on page 148, let me know. I'll try and answer them. It's pretty straightforward in my opinion. On page 149, they're covering the primary chords for F major. Remember, every key signature has 3 primary chords, and the numbers are the same, 1, 4, 5, 7. So in F major, we'll go to F, and F major has a B flat in it. So the 1 chord is the F chord. The 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, is a B flat chord here, except we put the F on the bottom, so we're going here to here. And then the 5, 7 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is a C chord with the 7th added, which in this case, because there's a B flat in F major, it's here. And we don't always use the middle 2 notes. Keep that in mind. We usually leave out the G, and I'll put the C on top, it's here. So it's here to here. So we got the 1 chord, the 4, the 5, 7, 1. The primary chord for F major. You should be doing it in both hands here. You get these in this piece. Mexican hat clapping song is easier for me to say, and it's shorter sort of, so there. Let's look it over. Treble and bass clef, it's pages 150, 151. We got first to second endings all over the place. Each page got its own, so we're kind of going everywhere. 3/4 time, 1 flat in the key signature, we're in the key of F major. And we got staccatos, accents, quarter notes, dotted half notes. We can, we've had all this before. Let's go through first, one hand at a time, and make sure we've got all the notes and rhythms okay. So right hand at the beginning, you're here. So it's 1, 2, 3, just like a broken F chord, and then cross over for the E here. You're not really moving the hand because the next one after the rest is up here. So we're kind of spreading out here. It's not a nice, neat 5-finger position for very long. I mean, you get the broken F chord at the beginning, but then where it's actually here with this added. I may be confusing you, but that's all right. I do that sometimes. And then going on, you're actually in this position. And the second finger there, this is the second line, second measure, it's an F, second finger. Rest and come up. You can reach up, you can move up, it's up to you. I like to feel my way around, so I usually stay pretty close to the keyboard. I reach up. So forth. Now on the last 2 measures there on page 150, you're here. Then they want you to come up here and second finger again. Not crazy about that, but okay. You can, if you want, because this is a fairly fast piece, you can use third finger and then here. Just because it's quick. Or you can use second finger. Whichever. Going on, 151. They want 1 and 3. And that's okay if your hands are small enough, your fingers are skinny enough, you can fit up in here. That's fine, because really you're in the B flat chord or the 5 chord, and you're just playing it. If your hands are big and your fingers are fat and you don't fit up in here, then you got to do here. You can do here or here. Either one, but second finger there. Just stay in that position or that position, whichever, and then the second line you're fine. Come down again, 1, 3. Now, 4th line down. 1, 2, 3, 1, it's tied, and then B natural, and then we have the scale going up. except we're not going to cross under like in the scale. We're going to use fifth finger. Because then you're going to repeat back up to the reverse repeat sign. I'll get back to that later. I will talk about that. Last line, you're here. Cross under thumb here. And they got a 1-4. I would prefer, if you can, do a 2-4, 1-5. Here. Rather than trying to use thumb on both. There's some trickiness going on there, but you work it out. Get it where it might help at this point too. Go ahead and get rid of any hesitations you may have for the right hand, because when you put the hands together, it just gets trickier. The left hand's just got the primary chords pretty much. You got the 1 chord and then the 5/7 chord. On page 151, the same chords, but they're broken chords, and you start out with a 4 chord. Second line, 1 chord. Third line, 5/7 chord, and it's fun. Okay, put the hands together. And again, when I first do this, I connect everything. You have to lift up for the rest, but that's all right. Rest, 2, 3. Rest, 2, 3, and so forth. Let's go to page 151. You're here. I prefer this fingering. I don't like being up into here. So rest. Make sure you play the rest at the end of the first line and second line. The right hand needs to come up. Pretty straightforward, I think. So you go through and put the hands together, and then go back through and get rid of the hesitations. You can go slow, that's fine, but no hesitations. Once you can do that, then we add the articulation. The staccatos, I'm hinging at the wrist here. It's not a big motion, it's a little motion. I exaggerate it so you can see it better, but it's a small. All of these are short staccatos. And then the accents, just play them a little louder and go ahead and connect them just a bit, but not short. Like so, bum bum, the difference. On page 151, in the right hand you have staccato or accents, just play them a little louder. And here in the left hand, I do a chuck chuck. It's a connect first two, and then disconnect them. Chuck, chuck, okay. Now, I suggest you connect all these quarter notes. You see, they're only showing a slur for the last two, which means you could, if you wanted to, disconnect the others. That's interpretation. It's a personal thing. Experiment with it. If you like that better, go with it. So it's... I'm guessing they're doing that to make it a little easier for you, because it's easier to do the same thing in each hand at the same time. And by separating these, it matches this close. This, it matches it. Makes it easier. But I prefer to just connect it. So even though I can't. Same thing. Now, fourth line down, the first ending, you're here. Connect all this together. And then lift up. And these are staccatos with accents. So staccatos and accents, you play them a little louder. So that fourth line is here. So forth. And then the last line, you don't get anything until the accents at the end. And then a little louder and separate them. Okay. Dynamics, well, that applies to the melody, which is the right hand, moderately loud at the beginning, whatever you think. And then the accent, well, I got problems with the way they've written it. I think I understand why they've written it. If they want it loud, yeah, you do that anyway. But they've added accents on it. Now, you don't need accents, just make it a little louder. But in this case, I think really what they're after is they want you to separate the note. Because a lot of times when you have note after note that's accented, it's common interpretation for that to separate those notes to help bring out the accent, especially on piano, because it's the best we can do. And I think that's really what they're after here. It's going to be loud. You don't have to play them louder because of the accents, but separate them. So it's like bum bum. That's the clapping. Yay, team. Okay. And then back down. Now, top page 151. You're loud here in the right hand, but with the accented notes, that makes those really very loud. The left hand, keep it in the background. Then come down a little bit for the second line. Well, the accented notes are going to be loud then. And then same thing. And then the fourth line down, you're moderately loud. And I suggest for the last two measures, when for that line, come down to maybe a moderately soft, so you got more room to get louder. So it's moderately loud, and then come down moderately soft. Each of these has an accent and a staccato. I don't know why you need accents on them, but it's staccato, and you're gradually going to go back up to loud, because you're going to repeat back to the top. And I'll come back to that repeat in a minute, but here. Okay. The last line is same thing, you're moderately loud. Now you're going to stay moderately loud here. You're going up to loud. Be loud right there on the F when you get there. But with the accents at the end, you're going to be very loud. Yeah. Ta-da, we're done. Now briefly the roadmap. Where we go when and the problems it causes. Because a lot of times you think, oh, I got this, no problem. And then when you go to repeat or make a repeat, it messes it all up because your hand's out of position to repeat. It's okay to go on, but not... Well, at the bottom of page 50, you have first and second endings. Remember those? The first time you play it, you play the first ending here. And then there's a repeat sign that sends you back to the beginning. So then you can repeat it again, and you're already in position. There's no problem there. But then the second time you play it, you skip the first ending. You've already done it once. You're done. Do the second ending. And then we go on. Well, you're pretty much in position to go on here anyway. You're close. Depending on how you want to figure the right hand, you're close. But then in the fourth line and fifth line, you get first and second endings. And an ending can be any number of measures. Here, the first ending is 4 measures long. Second ending is 2. That's good. Generally, the endings will be the same number of measures. I think you'll find that in most cases. The endings, each one, they'll be the same number of measures. Well, it's 4 measures. Then you're going to repeat back up to the reverse repeat sign at the top. That's what the asterisk is for. It's telling you there's a footnote, read the footnote. Well, the rule for repeat sign in the past has always been you go back to the beginning. But that's not the whole rule. The actual rule, depending on how you want to say it, is you go back to the last reverse repeat sign and repeat that much again. If there's no reverse repeat sign, then you go back to the beginning. Here, the reverse repeat sign is at the top of page 151, so we're going to go back to there. So we're finished, and then you're going to go back up to here. When your left hand's in position, just keep it up here. Don't take it down because you're not doing anything. Leave it there, but the right hand's out of position. And here, no. Now we're taking advantage here of the articulation, because when I first learn a piece of music, I want to learn it all connected. Because I want a fingering that works connected. Well, if I do that, I got to change the fingering because that fingering doesn't work. I can't go to here very easily. So I would finger it more like a scale. And I'd put the thumb there. And that way, if I do 2/4, I'm right there. If I want to use thumb here, I'm closer to where I want to be, even if I use thumb again, than I am if I do this. So I'm going to recommend change the fingering in the fourth line down, last measure. The last note, instead of 5, bring it up with a thumb like the F major scale. This way we can do the repeat. So that fourth line going on, I'm right there, I'm ready to go. Just a suggestion, you're welcome to finger it like it is in the book if you'd rather, but it doesn't fit the fingering style that I teach, so I change it. Then finally we add the speed. Moderately fast in between moderate and fast. This is what I call the fun speed. When I see any song that's marked moderately fast or allegretto, you haven't had that yet, but you will, I just think fun. It's the flow of the piece, it's not the beat, it's just to have fun with it. Please don't copy me. That's just how I would play it this time. If I played it later, I'd play it a little differently. I'm always experimenting and changing things because of the interpretation. Interpretation is where you take what's written in the music and you take it a step further and you add yourself into it and your feelings into it, and you feel the music and you play it as you feel it. There's different tools for interpreting music. I've explained a few as we go through. We'll explain more as we go on. It's here. It's like the articulation for page 151 for the quarter notes I talked about earlier. Whether I connect them or not, that's interpretation because the music isn't saying anything. I mean, look at the third line down. On those quarter notes, there's nothing here. There's no slur over them. There's nothing. I can disconnect them if I want to. If I want to, that's interpretation. The music doesn't say anything. Just don't violate what the music tells you to do in most cases. You see all of these dynamics and articulation marks in here are interpretive guides. They're guides to tell you sort of how to interpret it. Because if they weren't there, and you go back into the 1700s and before, and composers didn't put any of that in the music. It was up to you to add all that yourself. Then they started adding it because composers got, they didn't like the way people were doing it, or I don't know what the reason was. I wasn't around back then, but the point is they're doing it now. They're adding these interpretive marks, these articulations and dynamics and things. So we follow those, but they still don't put them all in. We still have some judgment of how we want to do it. And that's, you get to know it and pass the mechanics and you start feeling it, play it as you feel it. You need to check with the music occasionally. Even if you were to memorize this and you don't need the music, you need to go back and check with the music occasionally to make sure you haven't started changing too much. We do that. I do that. I like to play this with you very slowly. I'm not going to do the dynamics. I'll do the accents and the staccatos, and we're going to do all the repeats and everything. So I'll give us 3 counts, and let's just do it slowly. 1, ready, go. Rest, rest, rest. Rest, rest, repeat. Rest, rest, rest. rest, rest, rest. Repeat. Second ending. Rest, rest, rest.